sit back and enjoy this one from Raleighwood on a Saturday night. We're racing at Wake County Speedway. Oh, and a stack up on the inside. Connor Hall has trouble getting through the gears. Somehow, everybody reacts to it. Lapsevich had to check up. It doesn't look like he has too much damage, but your championship points leader, a little slow getting through the gears, but that could have been a big disaster with how tight this racetrack is. Somehow, they keep it rolling.
We've seen that several times in 2024. The points leader is able to dodge a bullet and only lost 2 spots in the process, but one of the drivers chasing him in the championship, looking to the inside, that's Brent Cruz in the 29, trying to get by the points leader Hall, who's now stuck up top.
Again, that stacked up the inside line. You can see Tyrell in the scoring pylon ahead of Connor Hall, so he gets benefited by that. You also have Lapsevich, who has found his way down to the inside, trying to get by Connor Hall. So Hall struggling through these opening couple of laps, and at this point, Eric, this is when it gets really difficult. Being on the high side here, you can see Connor Hall trying to get down, but Clay Jones, Holton Haddock, they're going to be tough to try and get by as they almost look 3 wide. Hall nearly into the fence, and Haddock with a late dive will shove Connor Hall out wide.
And behind him, Landon Lewis tucked in behind the 55. He's going to get around Connor Hall. We thought that Hall may have stopped the bleeding in 5th spot, but he falls way back now through the running order as Mason Bailey continues to lead the field.
All of that has allowed both Bailey and Hayslip to continue to pull away. Again, your top 4, top 5 really are on the same straightaway. Meanwhile, everybody else side by side and pretty much running nose to tail. So exactly what you want to see if you're these drivers. Now, they may not be used to the fact that a shitty coolers competition caution may come out in about lap 45 should we continue to run under the green flag. But so far, smooth sailing for Bailey, smooth sailing for Carson Hayslip. It is Isabella Robusto, we mentioned, with all of that happening on the inside road. She takes advantage. She's up in the 3rd. And then how about Minnie Tyrell? Not out of the championship fight just yet, but needs to continue making up points. This is a great start for that number 81 car.
You see Brendan Queen trying to make up some ground. He is up into the 14th spot where he started as we flash back up to the front of the field. How about these two? Between them both, they have a combined total starts in the Tour prior to tonight at 5. Hayslip making his debut, Bailey making his 4th career start, and 3rd of 2024. Both of them, as Blake mentioned, trying to put themselves in a pretty big spotlight should they be able to remain up towards the head of the field, or maybe even go on to win the Drive for Prairie Year 125. And Hayslip is starting to apply heavy pressure to Bailey off turn 2.
Again, love seeing these two drivers that know this racetrack really well. You can see the different lines that they're taking, especially Hayslip gets down a little bit lower, both in the center of 1 and 2. You can see that white line, left side tires are nearly on it, and then in 3 and 4, same thing. Mason Bailey just running a little bit higher. You can see Hayslip cuts down a little bit more through the center of the corner, trying to build a runoff. But you can see just a little bit of different philosophies here as Bailey, a little bit of a slide off the corner. You can see there has been...
got a car on the wall. That's Deke McCaskill, who has pounded the fence in turns 3 and 4. And at the same time, Trayton Lapsevich has come to a stop in turns 1 and 2. And judging by the tire mark that we could see behind Deke McCaskill's car, it looks as though he may have gone in quite straight in what has been a year to forget for the 2016 late model stock champion with the Tour. This has been pretty much his season for that of Deke McCaskill, one of the nicest guys you could find in the garage area. And the good news is he's dropped the window net to signal he's okay.
So Lapsevich getting a push. Again, you can see the mark that Deke McCaskill laid. You can see the tire marks leading up to it. Has all indications of a right front tire that would have gone flat. As Lapsevich continuing to get pushed, you can see the rear end damage for the number 77 bare knuckle fighting machine. Again, recently scored as officially the race winner at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Was battling up in the top 10. Again, was running in 6th. In 2 separate incidents. Again, McCaskill was kind of further back in the field at this point. But it has just been one of those years for Deke McCaskill, and you hate to see it again. Like you mentioned, just one of the nicest guys that you can find down in the pit area. And just something, again, out of his control, a flat right front. You can see the same for Trayton Lapsevich as he rolls to the attention of his crew.
Now, it should be noted, and we heard Mason Bailey allude to this earlier in his Thunder Road Harley-Davidson Pole Award interview, that there was some discussion potentially about some of the loads that are going to be carried on the right front of these race cars, and Cars Tour officials did offer up the opportunity for teams to add a spacer on that part of the car to provide some additional comfort and clearance from some of the suspension components that are up underneath the fender well. Not saying that that could be a root cause for either of these incidents, but nevertheless, it looks as though two cars have had problems with that right front. To Jesse Punch.
Hey guys, you were right about that. It is a confirmed flat right front. That team's got that car up on the jack right now. Going to get that changed and hopefully get that 77 of Trayden Lapsevich out of the racetrack as soon.
Thanks, Jesse. It looks like, as we see Deke out of the car, they are putting that spacer inside on the hub of the right front of Trayden Lapsevich's car, as McCaskill probably cannot believe his luck so far this season. Started off the year with a podium finish at Southern National, but from that point forward, it was a testing crash at Hickory, mechanical problems galore, as well as a lot of wrong place, wrong time, and a lot of bad luck. And Wake County is not going to be any exception.
Pair of Mobil 1 Toyotas on the outside row as Mason Bailey will bring us through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone, and Robusto, a great launch on the top side, will keep them side by side down into turn number 3, trying to hold the 05 at bay, but that inside line too strong for now. Robusto able to get down in front of Hayslip, so the gamble paid off, and she's able to move up into the second spot.
That'll be a net gain of 1 spot for that of Robusto, who moves up in the runner-up spot. Now, Brent Cruz kind of stuck up on the outside. Hayslip rubs the left rear a little bit of the 29 car off turn 4, trying to keep his car to the bottom of the driver who's trying to make up ground of the points in that of Cruz.
We were just talking about Minnie Tyrell making up some spots. How about Brent Cruz in the battle for the championship? Meanwhile, Connor Hall continued to slip from his initial starting spot inside of the top 5. He currently runs outside of the top 10 in the 11th position, so trying to hang on all he can, but right now Cruz cutting into that points deficit that he has to Connor Hall and looking to the inside of Hayslip to try to go up for 3rd.
A little bit of door banging there off of turn 4. Hayslip with a great drive off the corner to beat him to the line just by mere inches. Hayslip knows he's like a car that got kicked out of the Daytona draft right now. If he can stay locked up on that outside line and the bottom train keeps forming, he's going to lose a bunch of spots. Tyrell now in the 81 to the inside with Ryan Millington, who started back in 12th position, now up into the top 5 and looking for more.
Has all the indications of having a fast race car again. When we saw this number 15 in practice yesterday, again, they had a 5-hour open practice session. Millington laid down the fastest time of any team out here. And you have to imagine they have just nailed the package to finally bring through the summer months and into the fall to bring a fast leisure time Reynolds Chevrolet. Every single racetrack that they go to, it has been the case at many racetracks that he's been so experienced at Hickory and Ace Speedway. He may have the same tonight at Wake County at the Bullring. Further on back, Hayslip continuing to fall a couple of positions as he's stuck on the high side. Can he get down in front of the one at Clay Jones? No. This is where it's tough. Connor Hall is pretty much in the same position. You get kicked up to the high side, nobody's going to let you down, as Millington trying to get in front of Minnie Tyrell, and Tyrell's going to concede that spot. So Ryan Millington already up to 4th. How hard is it to pass here at Wake County? Don't tell the 15 car that.
How about for second spot as Cruz lunges to the inside of Robusto for the runner-up position. Got the fender to the inside going into 3, keeps it to the inside going into 1, but Robusto pulls him off the corner and protects the spot.
This is why it can be so tough here at Wake County Speedway, and Isabella doing a fantastic job holding that inside line at bay. Again, with how tight this racetrack is and the fact that there's an inside wall all the way around the inside of this racetrack, you got to have a lot of trust if you're running that second lane to know that that Carlton bottom is going to be where you think it is. Cruz with a little bit of a nudge to the back of Isabella Robusto. Off of 2, he's going to have her car clear off of turn 4. Robusto gets back into the 29. This will stay a side-by-side battle, but Cruz momentum off of 2 will keep the spot unless Robusto can get to the back of him. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
This is the kind of races that people come to see at America's favorite Bullring. A little bit of nudging, a little bit of rooting, a little bit of gouging. If and when necessary, Robusto not able to get back to second, but Ryan Millington is now tucked up under the rear spoiler of the Lee Podium Performance 55, trying to get up to a podium spot if he could pass Robusto. Millington, the second time in 2024, led the most laps at Ace last week, but didn't have anything to show for it. Good tonight, beat the night after he started out in 12th spot, trying to be the second driver in Wake County history to start from outside the top 10 and go to Cookout Victory Lane. He sizes up Robusto off 4.
Side by side further on back, that's Minnie Tyrell and Landon Lewis that are going at it. Off of turn number 4, Lewis got to the bottom on Minnie Tyrell, who has been relatively patient here. And again, this is kind of what got Minnie Tyrell up to the podium at Ace Speedway a week ago. And Minnie Tyrell, I think, showing that he's willing to kind of save a little bit. And again, a lot of these cars, we talk about the fact that there's been some very physical racing in the zMAX Cars Tour over the last couple of months. I think you'd have to imagine that you're wanting to save a little bit of the race car. These teams have had, or having to repair a lot of these race cars. As there's a battle for the top spot, Cruz has already caught Mason Bailey. Roughly 35 laps into this one, Cruz trying to challenge for the top spot. Meanwhile, Robusto still fending off a challenge from Ryan Millington in the 15.
How could you not be more impressed with the young rookie with that of Brent Cruz, who started his career up through the karting ranks, moved his way on up to every opportunity he could find in a full-body stock car, got himself an ARC of an Orange Series win 1 year ago, and decided to target the zMAX Cars Tour for a rookie championship campaign in 2024 with Kevin Harvick Incorporated. He is a 3-time winner already on the season. That leads any other driver, and he's at a racetrack that he has never run a full-body stock car at before, and is hounding Mason Bailey for the top spot.
I think one thing about any driver that you look at is adaptability, and it's so impressive what Brent Cruz, along with many of the youngsters that we've seen come up in the zMAX Cars Tour this year, how they've been able to adapt to running these race cars. You need a fast hot rod. We know that he has that with KHI, but he's got the talent behind the wheel to do it as well, as it looks like he has a nose to the inside of the 05. He washes up the racetrack, and with 84 laps to go now in Wake County Speedway, Brent Cruz has taken over the top spot. And again, we mentioned this battle for the championship. Every point matters, including the one he can get now for leading a lap, as well as leading the most laps if he can hang on through the rest of the night to try and break through and start to make that run for the championship. As we're seeing sparks flying, that's not unusual here at Wake County Speedway, but that seems to be a little more than what the 8 car is bargained for. That's not just low air pressures.
Seems to be coming from the left front, and he's got a problem. Caden Quapple keeps it off the wall, but will slide to a stop up in turns 3 and 4 to draw the second Shitty Coolers caution of the night.
Car, Jim Bushy will bring it down into the pits, and Brent Cruz brings the field into the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. 83 laps to go, and a pair of Mobil 1 Toyotas at the front of the field here at the zMAX Cars Tour at Wake County Speedway. But Bailey almost leading into the back of the number 29 as Cruz just clears up in front of Robusto. Landon Lewis gets down just behind Mason Bailey as well.
Bailey knows that Robusto is able to slot into second with that outside choice. Now Bailey gets sideways, up into the side of Robusto, and she keeps it off the wall. Look at Landon Lewis looking down to the inside as it nestles back down to 2 wide.
That's a tough situation. Bailey looked a little bit loose, and unfortunately when you do that, and that car on your outside pinching you down, not really a whole lot of space to go. Robusto leans into the back of Bailey once off of 4, again into turn 1. Up the road goes Mason Bailey, and Isabella Robusto tries to get by. This is kind of the textbook way to do it. If you're going to bump them out of the way, you need that car behind you to try and keep it a battle. But Mason Bailey hanging tough there on the top side as he gets pushed up the racetrack.
Bailey, who led the opening stands on this race, now goes way up the hill, has to catch the car. He'll lose a spot to Millington, probably a spot to that of Tyrell, and maybe a spot to that of Brendan Queen, who has gotten himself up into the top 10 and looking for more in that 03 car.
We know Bailey has a fast race car, just cannot get back down to the bottom to do it. You can see him sliding off the corners as well. Butterbean, who I saw a couple of laps ago, was behind many of the cars that you see running. He was behind that of Trent Lapsevich and battling back kind of around where Caden Quapple was, has very quickly made up some spots on this restart. So Queen looks like he'll get a spot there. Into the top 10 goes the 03 car.
Mason Bailey, the 05, calls Richmond, Virginia home. He's a frequent competitor at Dominion Raceway, finished second in points there in 2021, won a race there last season, and has tried his hands at the car store several times already. And right now he's trying to keep that car up in the top 10 for what would be his second career Cars Tour top 10 here at Wake County, with Cruz right now on cruise control at the front of the field. Robusto is nestled in the second. KHI teammate Landon Lewis, your top 3.
Sorting out here at the front of the field, Cruz has a couple of car lengths over that of Isabella Robusto. Lewis was getting a little bit of a challenge from Ryan Millington off of turn 2 a couple of laps ago, but has since stretched out that advantage. Nose to tail it's been for the last handful of laps with these three. Queen has caught them quickly. Mentioned Queen in the top 10. I didn't realize he was already up into the 6th position. It has come hot and heavy and quickly for Brendan Queen. He was on vacation this week, but he was ready to go when the green flag dropped today.
Butterbean's only prior Cars Tour start at this racetrack was last year. Started 4th, finished 4th. Unfortunately, he started 14th here tonight and is now 2 cars away from getting up to what was his best finish at his venue in his lone start, as he's all over the back of Mini Tyrell. Remember, these two had a spirited battle for second at North Wilkesboro 2 races ago. Did that of Mini Tyrell in the 81 and Brendan Queen in the 03.
And we hear with these drivers how hard they're pushing every single lap, and you can see exactly that. When we saw these drivers get out after Dominion, they were exhausted physically from the grueling 125 laps that race was. And although this is a Bullring, I know things can get physical with these drivers making contact with one another, but with the speed you carry around and the fact that you don't get a rest here. This is kind of like a Bristol, if you would think about it. There is no place to rest on these straightaways. You're constantly thinking about getting into the next corner. For more, let's hear from Pit Road and Jesse Punch.
Hey guys, you mentioned Isabella Robusto in that 55 running second. Well, if it looks like she's running with a little extra confidence, that would be correct. Earlier this week, she finished second in the ARCA Menards race on Sunday, and now that this is her third ARCA Menards series start. Isabella continues to impress here within the NASCAR world, but I'll tell you what, if there is one spot she doesn't want to finish tonight, it's second place.
Thanks, Jesse. That's a great point. Isabella on a discipline that she had not much experience on at the dirt race last week. Before that ARCA race, she only had 29 laps in one night at Millbridge in a micro sprint, and she impressed so many, and she's doing so here again tonight, running in second spot as we see Tyrell getting shuffled out of the top 5. Mason Bailey's going to get by him. He also got passed by that of Brendan Queen. So Tyrell is the car that got kicked up off the low side and lost the spot to Drayton Lapsevich, who's back up to where he was running when the right front tire went down.
Amazing the drive that Lapsevich has had. Want to make a note that Quackle was able to get back on the racetrack, albeit he has scored 4 laps down at the moment, but would have the opportunity for the free pass should things continue to run as they are right now. But Brett Cruz is starting to work his way towards the back end of the field and getting up into lap traffic. There you see that battle between Queen, currently in hold of the 5th spot, Drayton Lapsevich. What a couple of weeks it has been for this young man who continues to impress here in the late model stocks in his rookie campaign. We've had a lot of strong runs out of rookies this season. Lapsevich has been no exception. He gets to enjoy at least having the trophy from North Wilkesboro Speedway, but I know he and this Chad Bryant Racing team, they are focused forward and trying to get another, if not a couple more, before this season comes to a close.
2023 NASCAR Canada Series champion Adam Lapsevich certainly wants to get himself another win on the racetrack, one in which they can keep the points and the purse money, but he was ecstatic when he heard the appeals ruling, as he is now trying to get up into the top 5 here tonight at Wake County. While we watch the leader in Brett Cruz, want to update Daniel Van Cannon, one of the local drivers here out of Kirkwave Arena. Had the tutelage to that of a driver who's got a really good resume here, in that of Randy Renfro, who's in attendance here tonight, multi-time winner at this speedway. Unfortunately, Van Cannon has pulled down to the pit area, and his race is going to end prematurely.
See where Connor Hall is running. We talked about the fact that he fell back early. He was well outside of the top 10. He currently runs in the 10th position and started to work his way up quickly. In fact, there may be a problem for the 08 as he just lets Connor Hall go on by. And Hall looking to gain back some points, finds his way up into 9th. And again, just kind of got gouged out of the way a little bit earlier in this race. Couldn't find a way down, was struggling a little bit, but it's finally starting to show. You can see the brake rotors. I know this is something we talked about at the track we just visited 8 days ago at a Speedway about braking here at this racetrack. You can see some smoke from the number 22 car and a lot of brake rotors glowing ever so brightly. I know it was radiators last time that we were here with drivers overheating, but brakes certainly something you have to worry about here at Wake County Speedway as well.
And you mentioned the physical toll that racing on a racetrack, even as short as a quarter of a mile, can have on these drivers. These laps are clicking off in a rapid pace. Decisions have to be made in a moment's notice, and also the equipment is starting to get a little bit of a workout on the racetrack, and we're seeing a great variation between some cars in terms of how much brake they're using and others who are using a whole lot. Here's Cruz, the leader, the gap back to Robusto, about 1 3/10 of a second, as he's just put a lap on that of Buddy Isles. Unfortunately for Cruz, there are a couple of cars that are side by side ahead of him. Brandon Pierce would be the next target. Then it would be Caden Quaffle, who's multiple laps down, while Cade Brown and Clay Jones are door to door, obviously trying to not fall back into the clutches of the race leader Cruz.
We talked about Millington and his drive up through the field. He is somewhat stalled out. Queen is driven away and has control of the 4th position now. He got by the 15, and now Millington trying to hold off what has been a hard-charging number 77. You can see a little bit of damage again from what he had earlier with the flat tire, but for now it has worked out for Trayton Lapsevich, who again got to replace the tire that was on that right front because it was flat. Officials were on the scene. That car has come to life, looking to try and get around Ryan Millington to get into the top 5.
Lapsevich cuts underneath Millington as they come off turn 4 to have the fender inside in turn number 1, and Millington's going to give him just enough room, but throttle his way up off turn 2 a little bit better than the Chad Ryan Racing 77. Millington will protect the spot for now as Lapsevich tries to size him up again, closing in on Buddy Isles, who was the left car between that of Millington and Queen, as we got Lewis and Robusto bouncing off each other for second.
Lewis sliding off the corner just to the inside of Isabella Robusto. Again, trying to get a couple of these spots before the Shitty Coolers competition caution would be displayed. Already just 41 laps to go. We are going at a rapid pace here. Lewis trying to make the move, but now here comes Brendan Queen, who has caught not only his teammate, but the back end of the number 62 KHI machine as they continue to lean on one another. Does Queen look to try to make it 3 wide? You can hardly fit that in this racetrack, but I'm sure he wishes he could go there because these two are physical right now off of turn 2.
And now Robusto comes down on her teammate in that of Brendan Queen, who is able to cut her some slack after she falls to 3rd.
And I think you can see Queen realizing the situation, wasn't expecting Robusto to try to get down, who I think wanted to get back and try to give a nudge to the 62 of Landon Lewis, as that was right before the Shitty Coolers caution was displayed, and indeed we will see it with 38 laps to go at Wake County Speedway.
How about our front 4? Kevin Harvick Incorporated 1 and 2 with lead podium performance 3 and 4.
And then you have Trayton Lapsevich, who was elected to go to the outside in the 4th position. Minnie Tyrell looking to make up some spots as well. Looks like everybody is through the gears okay this time to the Death Wish Coffee restart zone. And already a side-by-side battle for the lead. Robusto, does she get down to try and move into the 2nd position? She might be able to do it into turn 1, but Landon Lewis is just there to make that job a little more difficult.
Good launch off the corner for Robusto, but not enough to clear Lewis. These two have traded paint several times already, just before the last caution, as things check up a little bit behind him. Now it's Lewis again with the fender inside and into the back of Robusto, with Lapsevich looking low on the 62.
Caving in the quarter panel just a little bit for Landon Lewis as Lapsevich trying to get down. Continue to see the damage on the right front fender just kind of flapping around. Queen was able to get in front of Minnie Tyrell. Remember, they were kind of jawing with one another after North Wilkesboro Speedway a couple of weeks ago. Queen able to get down in front of the 81, albeit they may exchange a little bit of contact in the middle of 1 and 2, but Queen, you can see how hard he's able to drive into the corner as now Minnie Tyrell peeking to the inside of the Lee Pulliam Performance machine.
It should be noted, being that our competition caution distance was 45 and restarted this race with 38 to go. If we're going to get a Shitty Coolers caution, it's going to have have to be of an organic cause. Here's Tyrell lunging to the bottom, but Butterbean's going to shut the door. Not quite. Here comes Mini Tyrell up alongside Butterbean.
And how about the driver who is on a recovery drive right now, right behind him, Connor Hall, right in front of Ryan Millington. We talked about two drivers that had a run-in. How about Hickory Motor Speedway a couple of weeks ago? Millington behind Connor Hall, not going to make it any easier for that number 22 car to get on by, but Hall, at least for now, has the spot, but Millington will show the nose down into turn 1.
There still appears to be some smoke or haze coming out from underneath our points leader, and he autos by Nelson 22. He's going to lose the spot to Millington. Now he's got Mason Bailey, the pole sitter, up to his inside, as Hall is trying to mitigate the damage from losing more spots, and he worked so hard to grab after falling from third at the start of this race.
Meanwhile, in front of them, Tyrell got by Brendan Queen and is going to try to drive away, and it looks like he's going to be able to do so. Hall looks like he gets down in line behind the 05 of Mason Bailey. You can see how that one is played out, but Queen not letting Mini Tyrell drive off.
See a little bit of a different line, not that radical between the 81 and the 03. Look at Butterbean set up high, trying to get a lane apex off the corner and draw alongside what is a loose Mini Tyrell back to the gas, and Brendan Queen is to the inside.
Side by side off of 2, tight confines. Tyrell's going to check up. Does he return the favor to Brendan Queen off of turn 4? Doesn't look like that'll be the case for now. Queen gets back the spot up into the 5th position. Meanwhile, Millington has caught this battle once again. However, up front, Cruz continuing to extend his lead. It's about 3 car lengths or so that Brent Cruz sports over Isabella Robusto. Landon Lewis pretty much the same distance back as you see it on your screen.
We're in the final 5th of this race, and with 23 to go, Brent Cruz out in front. Robusto, after doing a marvelous job being able to defend second spot from the outside of the front row at a racetrack where if you get kicked up into that upper groove, it normally means bye-bye. And Robusto was able to hold on to second. Cruz's KHI teammate Landon Lewis in third. Laps of it fourth. Brendan Queen, your top 5.
Again, these laps click along quickly. As far as what we're looking at here, these drivers, in fact, running about 2 or 3 tenths faster. I was looking at the lap times about 50 laps ago. They were down into about the 13-second range. Right now, they're running 1270s, 1280s at the front of the field. So speeding up a little bit. Again, the fastest time Cruz has turned tonight, a 12.500. He just turned a 12.79. Now he turns a 12.81. So in terms of fall off, it's about 2 or 3 tenths. As you can see the lap times right there, Robusto was actually just a little bit faster than Brent Cruz that last lap around. But again, 18 laps to go. We're talking about just a handful of minutes that Robusto has to try and catch Landon Lewis. And with Brent Cruz. With
no guaranteed Chitty Cooler's caution left to go in this race unless something should happen on the racetrack, Brent Cruz is about a half a straightaway behind the tail end of the field in that of Buddy Isles. In fact, he's about 5 car lengths further ahead of the race leader is that of Buddy Isles. Lap traffic, or the tail end of the lead lap, could end up being one of the most deciding factors of this race with 15 to go next time by.
Again, 35 points on the line. If he continues to hold on, he would have led the most laps. He'd get the 33 points for winning the race. Meanwhile, Connor Hall right now has slipped back to the 9th position after trying to challenge early on after this restart to get up a little bit closer towards the top 5. You can see Buddy Isles Jr. out of the way for your race leaders as there's a problem in 1 and 2, and the Chitty Cooler's caution is out. It is Landon Huffman who has spun in the middle of 1 and 2. Brent Cruz, Isabella Robusto ready to settle this one at Wake County Speedway. Up through the gears, everybody gets away okay, but Lewis gets a shot from behind from Trayton Lapsevich. They're still side by side down the back straightaway as they enter 3 and 4. That's a teammate that's looking to the inside, almost 3 wide. Cruz clear down.
Cruz trying to shut the door, Lewis trying to shove him wide. KHI cars playing bumper tag for the race lead at Wake County, and there's more contact in 3.
2 friends, again, Lewis trying to fight for the owner's title for the 62, that's 8th in the owner's points, but also trying to get a zMAX Car Store win. He shoves Cruz up the hill. Here comes Trayton Lapsevich as Cruz gets turned into the outside wall. Holden Haddock joins him. Clay Jones spins around. And the car that has dominated this race and was looking to get into the championship fight is parked in a heap of smoke in turns 3 and 4.
And that car made pretty substantial contact with the outside retaining wall with the left rear. You see some of the body work there on the passenger side door of Brent Cruz after Haddock came sliding in late. And Brent Cruz, who got kicked up to the high side 3 wide, amongst that of his teammate Trayton Lapsevich, Isabella Robusto, and more, ended up getting tagged in the left rear and backing into the wall on what seemed like it was going to be a premium points night for the young rookie driver. Cruz now with the difficult task of trying to get that car righted, as we just saw Landon Huffman experience on the last Shitty Coolers caution. Let's take a look at what happened in what was a frantic fight for the lead inside the final 15 laps.
So Lewis shoves up Cruz. They're 3 wide. And Robusto, you can see there's just not a whole lot of room to go 3 wide. Haddock slams on the brakes. He spins, gets that car sideways, getting up into the marbles and everything. Nowhere that 55 could go. Trying to react. So Cruz getting spun, but you have to wonder again, Landon Lewis, Brent Cruz, great friends. We've seen Lewis around the pit area, even when he hasn't been driving behind the wheel of the number 62, but I'm sure a contentious pit area with teammates exchanging contact, Jesse. Speedway 5 races remaining in the season, so much to be determined through the Death Wish Coffee restart zone, an equal launch amongst your top 2. As Lapsevich into the back of Lewis, but Lewis clear to the top spot off of turn number 2.
Lewis going to go clear to the lead. Lapsevich getting a tag that time behind by Mini Tyrell as Lapsevich rubs doors with that of Brendan Queen, who continues to fight hard on the top side with Tyrell trying to fill the void. More contact on the backstretch.
Hardly room there for Lapsevich and Queen as he nearly gets squeezed up into the fence. Lapsevich, though, needs to make this pass quickly or Landon Lewis is going to continue to drive away. Queen finds a way down, but not before Mini Tyrell tries to fill the gap to take that 4th position. Queen holding on for 3rd. Can he get the momentum off the top side to clear Mini Tyrell? Yes, he does, but Tyrell will still drive it in there.
Boy, Tyrell threw that thing down into turn 3, caught the race car, and keeps the fender inside of Queen. As 2 cars behind Tyrell is that of Connor Hall, the points leader. That's who Butterby wants to stay in front of as Millington tries to size up Tyrell off 4.
I think Millington got on the binders quick. He didn't want to get into the back of Mini Tyrell there. He kind of shoved it up the hill, trying to avoid that 81 car. He loses the drive off in 2. Connor Hall looking for every point possible to get around that 15 car. But again, that battle that they had has just allowed Landon Lewis to drive away from the rest of the field. 7 laps to go. And Queen trying to get back to 2nd, but he may not have enough time to chase down Lewis if he can get by the 77.
The hopes for Lewis is that this race will stay green, but the way in which some of these drivers are sending it off into the corner, I'm not so sure. 5 to go at the line. This the battle for 2nd. Lapsevich trying to protect the spot from that of Brendan Queen, who wants a runner-up spot if he can get there.
Gap is 1.3 seconds to Landon Lewis, who continues to pull away from the 2nd place battle. 4 laps to go. Queen nearly into the back of Trayton Lapsevich. Still pulling away from Mini Tyrell, who's trying to fend off Ryan Millington behind him. Queen with a drive off of turn number 4. Doesn't have enough to get there, but still trying to fight for every point possible. 3 laps to go.
The sand in the hourglass is starting to run out for all drivers, and they are well aware Lewis may be trying to break free. This battle for 2nd may go all the way to the checkers as Brendan Queen tries to size up Lapsevich. Lap and a half to go.
A handful of drivers have hopped behind the wheel. The number 62 for KHI, Josh Berry being one of them, Lane Riggs as well. Even Kevin Harvick has sat behind the wheel. But the first one to go to victory lane is going to be the young man out of Supply, North Carolina. Landon Lewis is a Cars Tour winner and makes it back-to-back for KHI.
And in the final lap, Connor Hall got muscled about and lost several spots in the final few laps.
That he did. We're showing 11th for Hall, who looked to be well on his way to a finishing spot that would have put him just outside of the top 5 and 6, but Landon Lewis will take the VP Racing Fuels checkered flag and will celebrate here being a Cars Tour winner, albeit it came with a little bit of contact with his KHI teammate and championship competitor in Brent Cruz. But KHI able to leave a happy bunch tonight as Landon Lewis becomes yet another first-time winner in the zMAX Cars Tour this season.
Landon Lewis celebrating in front of this crowd, started racing at the age of 4 in that of go-karts, as we mentioned several times, teamed up with that of Ron Hornaday Jr. to race at Dirt Modified. After displaying his ability and talents, he quickly slipped underneath that of Ron's wing, slid over to Legend Cars with Joe Ryan Race Cars, found immediate success there. In 2021, he won Dirt, Asphalt, and Road Course World Finals in a Legend car, and then of course won an ARCA Menard Series race on the dirt there, and several ARCA Menard Series West races as well. Like that of his teammate, he thought that the zMAX Cars Tour may be one of the best opportunities to showcase his talents, and as Blake mentioned, in just his 8th career start, he pulls that car in the Cookout victory lane for the first time.
Again, one of the unique parts of Wake County Speedway, this arena, is this victory lane that is set up on a stage for these fans to be able to take it in. You can see one of the first people over to congratulate Landon Lewis is that of Trayton Lapsevich, who finishes up in the 2nd position. 5th first-time winner we've had in 2024, including that of Trayton Lapsevich, who just walked away. But I can imagine as he gets off the Hans device and the helmet, he's going to be one happy young man as he climbs out for the first time in zMAX Cars Tour Cookout Victory Lane.
Liam, well, you are $100 richer.
Thank you.
All right, give Liam a hand. Thanks to Accent Imaging, he's donated Mike Stoddard and Christy Stoddard $100 for the Frisbee toss.
Again, just a couple more moments here for Landon Lewis to get the belts off. We'll toss it down to Cookout Victory Lane. Landon Lewis is now a Cars Tour winner.
For the first time here in Cookout Victory Lane, Landon Lewis gets it done in the zMAX Cars Tour. It is a very, very wet victory lane down here as Landon just joined me in here with the celebrations. Okay, Landon, congratulations on the win. You have an entire team here, your mentors here. Describe your emotions right now.
First off, before I even want to get started with the interview, I want to say a huge apology to Brent Cruz. I mean, he's a team car. He's raced me. We're teammates, and I work on that car, and I did not want to see that to happen at all. Got loose underneath him and just got into him, and I hate the result. But furthermore, I mean, we worked so hard this week. We've come off a rough couple weeks, honestly. Last week was a really rough one for me. I think I hit everything but the pace car. And then this week we come back, we regroup. We had a bunch of talks at the shop. Ron come down this weekend to help out and make sure I was, feeling the car correctly, and we're here. I never thought I'd be in Cars Tour Victory Lane so early.
We are here, you're here, you worked so hard on this race car, and I know you said you didn't want that to happen when you talked about that incident with Brent Cruz, but take me back through what you saw there on that restart.
Yeah, we got through the gears pretty well. Brent did as well, and we got down into one, and I was getting lifted up from behind, which shot me into him, which slid him up the racetrack, which killed his momentum. And then we were kind of side by side. He cleared himself, got down, and then we come back around, and I had a little bit there and just got in there, got a little hot, and got free and slid up into him. So my apologies go out to him.
Well, racing's racing, and ultimately you're here in Victory Lane. Congratulations on your first Cars Tour win, Landon. Go celebrate with your team now. You earned it.
Yeah, before I celebrate, I just want to thank all my sponsors for helping me out. All the fans for coming out. I told these guys when we come here, I said, I've been here before, and the fans always show out, and they did tonight. Huge crowd tonight, so thank you guys for coming. I'd like to thank Kevin Delana. Kevin sat down with me in the shop this week and had a serious conversation, and really felt like it set me down a little bit, and I feel like that was part of my success. So big thank to Kevin Delana. Rent Source, Keen's Custom Panels, the whole Hornaday family, my guys, they've stuck through me through thick and thin, and I'm just proud to be here. This is pretty cool. I've always wanted to win at this track and be up here, and we finally did it.
You finally did it tonight. Landon Lewis is your winner at Wake County Speedway, his first time in Cookout Victory Lane.
And again, what an effort. And again, we talk about popular wins amongst the pit area in the zMAX Cars Tour. That is going to be the case here for Landon Lewis as we take a look at the finishing order that, as you mentioned, Eric, got a little jumbled up on the final lap with some contact that was had. It's Lapsevich who brings it home in second. Queen was not able to get by, brings it home in third. Minnie Tyrell, Ryan Millington, your top five.
Behind that, you had that of Mason Bailey, the pole sitter, and Carson Hayslip, the outside front row starter. A couple of local drivers, 6 and 7. Kate Brown with the result that I think that team was looking for heading into Florence, where he's won a track championship before next Friday. Landon Huffman rebounded for the spin, and Holden Haddock rebounded from ending up in the door that of Brent Cruz in that crash in turn 3 for a top 10.